kind of chilly and a lot of protests today, it sounds like anyways. I could hear it when I was walking by. Maybe I'll see it later. And what's going on today? It's kind of interesting reading this one, where you've often heard of story nowadays of countries trying to restrict drones in terms of flight limitations as an example, but how about more places restricting what you can actually import? This one says, new regulation comes to light to govern drone operation imports. Officials at the Ethiopian Civil Aviation Authority finalized the drafting of a regulation that will govern the import, operation, and production of drones in the country. The authority has been working on the regulation for the last 3 years in collaboration with the Information Network Security Agency. The draft prevents individuals and entities from flying any types of drones in Ethiopia. It says different types of drones are in use in Ethiopia. While many are used for video production purposes, there are also military drones owned by the Ethiopian Air Force. Most drones used by individuals are imported using informal means and are not licensed. As there has not been a legal framework for this in the country, officials said, there is a high demand for drones in Ethiopia. It has thus become necessary to develop a legal framework to govern the sector, said Johannes Abera, Director of Air Traffic Management at the authority. Sounds like it's kind of a copy and paste, regulation too. In a lot of places it says the draft allows drones to fly up to 120 meters, while it prohibits operators from flying them near airports where there is a runway and around the National Palace, as well as security agencies. The draft also requires the Air Force to obtain a permit from the authority before importing military drones, as well as humanitarian organizations and government offices that import drones for agricultural and medical purposes, among other things. The authority authorized only drones that weighed up to 25 kilograms. Globally, there are drones that weight up 150 kilograms, as big as an aircraft. In my opinion, there has to be a clear distinction too between, again, different types of drones, and it says the draft requires the Aviation Authority to license the import, operation, and production of drones. But this requires approval from INSA to ensure that they do not pose a security risk. I know in places like India, they wanted to ban the import of drones in general, where people are going to have to use locally made ones, unless it's really, a special request of sort, because it's more for economic reasons. They want to rely on themselves. But I guess more countries, again, are probably going to do this in terms of having some type of restriction in that sense of what they can bring in and all that. Will that affect companies, for example, in certain countries? Because in places like the US, a lot of government officials and all that are already trying to ban things like Chinese-made drones as an example. And I guess how about different types of drones, one that are on the ground? Apparently there has been a lot of videos like of this amphibious unmanned combat vehicle. From the looks of it, I guess it's a ground vehicle, there's no one in there, and you can see it trying to, go up stairs and stuff like that. Pretty soon in the battlefields, there'll be nothing but robots. It makes me wonder how simple it would be for a human just to disable or deactivate this stuff. I know some of you guys wrote comments too, it's kind of true too, where if there's a robot dog or something like that, just put like a cover over the camera or something like that, and they can't see you anymore. Are they smart enough to actually, get rid of that as an example, like for the robot that is? But in cases like these, more and more autonomous drones in different ways, not just in the air. And I read this, which was kind of weird. It made me wonder, what is the logic for this? From yesterday, as I mentioned, apparently Twitter has this new policy on what is, quote, free speech, what they will allow. In terms of, things like hate messages and all that, either, they may get rid of it, or if it's something that's harassing and all that, they might just deboost it per se, so it won't spread unless you're specifically trying to find those types of posts. And here, apparently, a news station in the US, CBS, they said they're going to stop posting on Twitter. So they made this post and mentioned it live as well, I believe. It says, in light of the uncertainty around Twitter, and out of an abundance of caution, CBS News Bay Area is pausing its activity on the social media site as we continue to monitor the platform. Again, I'm trying to wonder, what is the logic behind a news station not wanting to, post and so forth? I can understand for people who really dislike, let's just say, the platform and all that is more of a way to, quote, protest, but a news media organization, what logic is there? You post your stuff, you're kind of, goal is to try to gather the facts and so forth, right? Like, wouldn't you want to interact with people there and report on it?
In light of the uncertainty around Twitter and out of an abundance of caution, CBS News is pausing its activity on the social media site as it continues to monitor the platform, Major.
For example, there's often a lot of argument of what is, quote, real news or, quote, fake news. So if you're a news organization, you post something, isn't it valuable to see what the general public reaction is in that sense? So again, it doesn't really make sense to me why a news station would do this. And to be clear too, I don't think it's the entire organization by the sounds of it, because they say specifically, I guess it's that specific area.
2,000 years ago, that's why we mark time, we mark it. So look down here.
Then when I master that,
People went to war, died, lost limbs, were severely injured for the rest of their lives. They had a war in the
Alright, see you guys later.